Hey, good morning, Oscar. This is a quick demo video for you for your ASP saber that you sent me, and also your flagship. We can start with the flagship because this was a bit of a reinstall. I had actually etched and installed this for you with a golden harvest a while ago. I forget how long, but it's been quite a while. You had sent it back to me and asked me to take that out so that we could add this Lightsabers crystal chamber extension. So that's what I did here. And then also I wrapped it for you with the wrap that you provided. One thing that I had to do on this handle though is I had to take your Covertech wheel off. I've got that in the bag with your blade plug. I'll make sure that everything goes out with your saber. The bolt or the screw that was holding the Covertech wheel onto the handle was interfering with the chassis, and the handle is so thin in material that if you shave that screw down to where it's not in the handle, it's not enough meat to hold on. All right, so I just went ahead and I took that off, wrapped it like you wanted, and then put this chamber extension on. You had asked also to forego a crystal in here and just put some LEDs. So what I did was I put a 5-pixel LED strip in here. I put two 5-pixel strips actually back to back, put them in here, put some diffusion material in there, and I wired it up that way. All right, so it is wired in line to where you can use these 5 pixels as a separate, like a separate Neopixel accent inside of your config if you want to. You just have to go around and play with that in there in the config. All right, but to get to the chassis, just unscrew the handle. Take this off right here, and then this is what your chassis looks like. You had asked to put Mercy is a Lie on this particular chassis, so that's what I did for you. Your Golden Harvest board is up here. I just went ahead and I reused what was in there. You've got a kill switch right here, and then you've got a removable battery and the same 28mm speaker that you had in the Saber before. All right, so about the only difference is I added a kill switch, the custom chassis, and of course the basically 10 Neopixel accents, but when you mess with it in your config, they are wired together, so that it would be a 5-accent strip. All right, let's go ahead and throw a battery in it. All right, so your spring side is over here towards the speaker. Not going to hear anything until we come over here and we flip the switch, which is right here.
The master.
Go ahead and throw our handle on. Everything locks down nice and tight. Now, since you have two identical switches, right? The switch that is on the same side as your board, that's your power. We'll go ahead and we'll turn that off and we'll throw a blade in. As you know, this takes a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade. We'll go ahead and we'll lock that down. It is set up for a full-length blade. Nice and bright here. The blade lock up.
Eternal Prince.
This is a very interesting color combination, but you can see it through your crystal and your blade. Right. And we'll stop there. I left all of the sound fonts on here that you had before. I didn't mess with the config file at all. All I did was rewire it with a separate chassis and the crystal chamber extension. All right, so when we're done with it, we can come over here. You can leave your battery in if you like, or you can just take it out. But if you wanted to leave it in, of course, we turn it on. Come over here and flip our switch, and it kills everything like it should. All right, then your positive side is over here by your chamber, and you can pop it out with your finger just like that. If over time you are feeling like this battery is kind of loose or something, I did leave enough room in here to use a battery wrap. You can get those from several different places. I would suggest Albert Flores over at Smuggler's Outpost, or the Saber Armory has some really nice battery wraps as well. All right, but that is your flagship, so we'll put that off to the side and move on to your ASP Saber. Now your ASP Saber is something that you wanted installed with a CFX. So that's what I did here. It is a one button setup, so I went ahead and I put that switch cover on that you and I were talking about yesterday. If I take it off, because it's just on a magnet, you can see that it's a one button setup right there. All right, when we slap that back on, it does stay on there pretty well. And then you can press it from there. So what you want to do is come over here. The only place that this saber opens up is right here from the pommel. So we'll open up the pommel. You'll see your chassis there. You want to go like that once or twice, and then you can pull out your chassis. You did have a little bit of inconsistencies in your handle, so I went ahead and I cleaned that up the best I could with a file, with some Brillo pads and stuff like that to make it smooth. Another thing that you had were some bolts or some screws sticking into the handle, which is something that you already knew about, right? So these two black ones up top here, I backed out a little bit and I glued them in place, so they won't go anywhere, but they're not sticking into the handle. All right, these two guys, they do stick into the handle, but because they are on the same plane, you know, they're lined up with each other right there. I went ahead and I just shaved these down a little bit, but they still do stick in a little bit, and they are going to ride inside of this groove right here that you see on your chassis. All right, so you can see this groove, if I can get it to focus. There you go. And you asked for this quote on your chassis: your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. So I put that inside the groove, obviously. This is what your chassis looks like. So your CFX board there, easy access to your SD card, removable battery as well. Same speaker as the flagship, so a 28 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost Elite, right? And then this is using a Smuggler's Outpost Switch Pixel PCB set. So this PCB lines up with a 14 pin PCB in there. You can just barely make it out right there. All right, that does not come out. So that's what that does. So what you want to do here, take your battery again, we'll throw it in.
Apologize to my girlfriend.
This is a font that Kyberphonic made me. You can go in there, you can change the boots around if you want. You can take some of the quotes out, or you can just delete it entirely. I just threw it on there so that I could show you something other than the stock font package. All right, but when you get that in there, you want to make sure when you're putting the chassis in that you're lining up this groove with your quote with these two switches. All right, you have to line those up properly. If it's not lined up, it'll only go that far. All right, when it is lined up, you know, it'll push all the way in. So that's how you know you got it. We'll come over here and we'll screw this down. Make sure this is nice and tight. It locks the chassis into those pins. You can come over here and hit power. We'll turn this off and throw a blade in this guy too. Now your blade retention screw is this guy right here. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw a blade in. It also takes a 1-inch diameter blade. I gave you plenty of blade depth, so as you can see, the blade's in there right now. If I put my thumb where the emitter is and I pull it out, I mean, that's how much blade depth you've got right there. All right, so plenty of blade depth. Running a Carl Chen PCB way down in there. Again, we'll put this in, hit those pins and lock down your blade retention screw. Turn this light off, and now we can come over here and hit power. They got some nice shine through here where your pins would have been. This saber's screaming loud. Blade lockup is holding the button down and hitting the saber at the same time. And of course holding it down to turn it off. And then if you want to get to another sound font, you just hold the button down until you hear this.
Sound bank selection.
Now you can move this, just tap it to cycle between fonts.
Crystal focus. Crystal focus.
Nebula. Nebula.
When you find one you like, hold the button down. Alright. You want to change color, hold the button and twist your wrist. You know, find something you like. Tap the button, right? So now when we turn it on, it's blue. And we'll turn it off just like that. All right, take the blade out of this guy as well. CFX has a deep sleep mode. That's why this particular chassis does not have a kill switch, because you don't need one. When we're done, we'll come over here and we'll take the pommel back off. Grab our saber like that and cup our other hand. Go like that once or twice and you can pull the chassis right out. And then when you're done, come over here from the positive side of the battery over here by the speaker. And if you can't get it with your finger, I usually just use a back of a pair of tweezers or something and pop the battery right out just like that. And that is your ASP saber and your flagship. Let me know if you have any questions, and if everything looks good to you, I'll package these guys up and get them out in the mail to you today. Thanks.